Welcome. Today we're going to dive into three really distinct encounters from an ancient text. Now, when you look at them together, they paint this picture of a value system that is honestly radical and deeply challenging. It's one that completely redefines things like wealth, status, and even the very nature of sacred bonds. So, to get us started, just think about this for a second. What if the real price of a perfect life wasn't just about following rules, but about giving up, well, everything you have? Just keep that idea in the back of your mind as we jump into our first story.
Okay, so picture this. Jesus is in Judea, teaching. A group of Pharisees comes up to him, but they're not there to learn. Nope. They're there to set a legal trap for him, using a question that was super divisive and controversial at the time, hoping to force him into a corner. Now, you have to understand this was a massive legal debate back then. There were basically two camps. One was really strict about it, and the other was incredibly lenient. So they're looking for a simple yes or no answer, trying to pin him down and make him alienate one side or the other. But he doesn't play their game at all. Instead, he just reframes the entire debate. See, instead of getting stuck in the weeds of their legal argument, Jesus just pivots. He points out the difference between what Moses permitted and what God intended from the very beginning. He basically says the law that allows divorce was a concession, a workaround for human failure, for hard hearts. But the original plan, that was something way deeper, a union so total that two people become one flesh. And right there, that's the core principle he lays down. The whole conversation shifts from legal loopholes to a sacred bond. The standard isn't about what's allowed under human law. It's about what was divinely created, an ideal that goes way beyond the rules themselves. And this theme just keeps building in our next scene. We're moving from the sacred bond of marriage to another challenge to the way people thought. This time, it's all about status and who really gets access to the kingdom of heaven. So the scene is pretty simple. People are bringing their kids to Jesus, just hoping for a blessing. But his own followers, the disciples, tried to shoo them away. In their world, children were kinda unimportant. They had no status, no influence. To the disciples, they were just a distraction. They were acting like gatekeepers, just reflecting the values of the society around them. But Jesus immediately flips this whole thing on its head. It's a powerful reversal. He doesn't just welcome the kids, he straight up declares that the kingdom belongs to people like them. So the very things the world ignores, humility, dependence, having zero status, those are actually the main qualifications for getting in. And that brings us to our final and probably most dramatic story. All these themes, divine standards, upside-down values, they all come together in the story of one man who, on the surface, seems to have it all. And he comes to Jesus with maybe the most important question anyone could ever ask. Now listen closely to how he phrases that. What good thing must I do? This guy is sincere for sure, but he's thinking that eternal life is something you can earn, right? Like it's a transaction based on his good deeds. He's looking for that last item to check off his spiritual to-do list. So Jesus starts with the basics, the foundation of a good life, the commandments. This is the well-known path to pleasing God. The man listens, and you can tell he's feeling pretty good about himself. He's checked all these boxes. You can almost hear the confidence, can't you? Yep, done all that. So what's the last step? What's the one thing I'm missing to finally be perfect? He really thinks he's just one little task away from sealing the deal. And here it is, the devastating answer. That one thing he's lacking? It's not a small thing. It's everything. Jesus shines a light on the man's deepest attachment, the one thing he values even more than God, his money, and all the security that comes with it. The invitation isn't just about giving away stuff. It's about completely recentering his entire life around a new treasure and a new master. This is such a powerful and honestly tragic moment. He isn't condemned or yelled at, he just walks away sad. The price of perfection was simply too high. He couldn't let go of the worldly status and the stuff that defined who he was, and all it left him with was sorrow. So the man leaves, but the lesson is far from over. Now, Jesus turns to his completely astonished disciples to really unpack what they all just saw, driving home the central theme of this entire passage. And he illustrates the point with this unforgettable, shocking metaphor. You see, the disciples would have seen wealth as a sign of God's blessing. And here's Jesus saying it's actually a huge obstacle, something that makes getting into the kingdom almost impossible. Their reaction is just total shock.
I mean, if this guy, who was righteous, devout, and blessed with wealth, if he can't make it, then what hope is there for anybody else? From where they're standing, if the best of the best can't be saved, then salvation must be completely out of reach.
And here's the final, crucial piece of the whole puzzle. Jesus basically agrees with them. He says, you're right. On a human level, it is impossible. Salvation isn't something you can earn by keeping rules or even through radical generosity. It's a gift, something made possible only by God. This just shifts the entire focus away from human effort and onto divine grace.
And for those who, unlike the rich man, are actually able to make that radical choice, to put the kingdom first, the promise isn't about loss. It's about incredible gain, a totally new kind of treasure, and, in the end, eternal life.
And this is the one line that ties it all together. The sacred bond of marriage is put above legal permissions. The unimportant children are actually the heirs of the kingdom. The rich, righteous man is turned away, while the ones who give up everything, they gain it all. It's a total inversion of how the world sees things. And the question it leaves us with is this: in a world that constantly tells us to get more and climb higher, what does it actually look like to live by the values of a kingdom where the last come first?